So, welcome back to Eileen the Mastiff, and we're going to just dive straight into another Q&A. Like I say, if you guys keep asking the questions, we'll keep providing the answers. I presume we've got a couple of questions, seeing as you just said, Will, we need to film a Q&A, so here we are. I've got no idea what the questions are. Let's dive into it and see how we can help.
Okay, so first question. We've been asked quite a lot about how we went about temperament selecting Eileen. So, I think we went into quite a bit of detail when we got our Connie Corso puppy Mabel about what we were looking for, how we did it. So just whether you can go through a bit of that.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's been more difficult with Eileen.
I feel like it's more difficult, but also it isn't, because from that litter, we would have been happy with any of the puppies.
Yeah, so what I would like to do with Eileen is what I wanted to do with Mabel, which is be able to have her registered as a PAT dog, a pet as therapy dog, that take her with special needs kids and kids in hospitals. I'm trying not to look too far down the line with Eileen and just focus on enjoying her now and cross that bridge when we come to it. Obviously, when it came to temperament selecting, that had to be at the forefront of my mind of wanting a dog that would be good for that. Now, English Mastiffs of a breed are going to be wonderful for that. And again, the benefit of finding an incredible breeder is that they'll help you with temperament selecting. Again, our breeders were just immense. The amount of videos and pictures and information we were getting every single day from the day they were born with colour-coded collars just made it really easy just to observe them. So I started to build up a bit of an idea of the coloured collars that I was starting to pick up on things. And when it came time, they also waited till 6 weeks to do any temperament selection and assign puppies. Another incredible thing about a breeder. A breeder that's kind of more focusing on money potentially might want the dogs reserved as early as possible so they know they're getting their money. Our breeder wouldn't reserve them until they were 6 weeks to ensure that they could marry them to the right homes, and they needed that time to let the characters come through. So again, this isn't me raving about the breeder video, but it's a testament to the breeder that we were just able to work with them. They were there 24/7. I explained what we wanted. I kind of wanted a more very laid back, quite passive, but not into the realms of fearful. Just chilled out. Passive, not fearful, content, happy, low energy. That was kind of the vibes we went for.
That's what we got.
And that's what we got. And the breeders absolutely nailed it. When we went to pick them up, I was able to kind of look at all the puppies and assess them. And they hit the nail on the head. Like I say, we did it with them, but I very much, with them being so incredible, let them take the lead on it this time, whereas with Mabel, I kind of took the lead on it.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything to add?
No, I don't think so. I think as well, like the breeders, they just knew who would suit what. So there was some of the litter, they were like, okay, this one is awesome, but maybe in a home without any other dogs, or this one with children, and they were they've kept one of the litter as well, so they were very much like, okay, we're going to keep, we think we'll keep this one, but if you want this one, you can have this one. It was it was a really good experience actually, and
best I've had by not even close. It was the best by a mile that I've experienced.
There are obviously the temperament testings that you can do, but you didn't necessarily need to do them because
I didn't when we picked them up, and the decision was already made, but it just only confirmed that it was spot on. So yeah, happy days. Choose a good breeder, do your research. It's a lesson that we've learned over the past few years, and we're reaping the rewards this time around. Cool. Next question
is I think it was from one of the comments on the last Q&A, is that we've spoken a lot about how Puppy and Eileen are bonding and how they're getting on, the love story. It's more like, she's almost like her mum. Yeah, it's very strange that obviously the age gap between them is so small, really, but Puppy is very maternal with her. But yeah, people were just wondering how Sully was getting on. And also, we can throw in there that obviously your mum and dad are living with us at the minute, so we've also got Kira, the Siberian Husky, here as well. So maybe if we just talk about how Sully and Kira are doing.
Absolutely. So Kira, the Siberian Husky, is, I'm sure she's a cat in a husky's body, is very, very feline, very off the chain independent, wants nothing to do with other dogs and wants to just 98% of the time wants to be left alone, which is why you won't see her in the videos much.
Yeah, not in a bad way. It's just that's just what she is.
It's just her character, her temperament. We let her be kind of who she is. She's a good dog, like I say, just not.
She's just not really interested. But every now and again, like maybe every third evening or something, she'll want to play, and she'll go, when they're all outside in the garden, she'll go and join in
for a couple of minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, but she has to initiate it. She doesn't like if someone else initiates it, because you can't predict when she's going to want to do it or not.
Yeah. And Sully is my role model dog. He's my wingman. Sully is also an adult dog. I think Puppy, they're a similar age, so they've got that more puppy playfulness. But like I say, dogs are dogs. They're not robots. They form relationships between the packs themselves. They build dynamics. Some dogs are different. Eileen and Puppy have just become inseparable. Sully is more independent. Sully wants to be with me all the time, 24/7, ready to work. And if we're not working, it's sitting and waiting until we're working. So, again, not to the extent of Kira, but he's quite happy just to kind of keep out of the way. And if he wants to play, he'll go and join them and play. And then he brings himself away when he's not interested.
I've really noticed that he's matured a lot recently, even more. So he's just turned 4. And I do think that, I know sort of they kind of stop around 2, but I do think between the age of 3 and 4, there's been like another change in him, would you say?
Well, 2's like the overarching thing that tends to be the bigger the dog, the longer they take to develop. Like Eileen probably won't hit that until she is 4. I think Sully had a big leap when he was 2, and you're right, in the last year, probably since he was 3, it's gone.
I just feel like he's like mellowed a little bit more, even more so. And when we had Puppy, but not Eileen, so like just Puppy and Sully, they played a lot together, and he was like more than willing to do it. But I think now that Eileen can play with Puppy, he's kind of like, I'll just leave you kids to it. So he is there, and he intervenes if he feels the need to, and he plays a lot with Riley, Joe's Labrador. So yeah, he's around, he's doing ace. Also, like you say, he has free roam of the entire house. So he spends more time down here in the office. He spends time, like at night, he sleeps in the living room. He doesn't sleep in a crate.
Which I'll explain. So we've touched on it in an older video, but if you've not seen that, I have a concentric search. So when a dog comes into the house, we can find their environment very regimented for helping with teething, toilet training, just in general training. As they get older, toilet training, chewing, obedience, manners improves. They slowly start to get more freedom. If you go too far, you can just step it back in a little bit. Obviously, Sully's at a stage now where he's 100% reliable all the time.
Yeah,
fully trained.
We have been through that with him.
Yes.
When he ruined our stairs.
Yeah, he destroyed a whole staircase when we made that mistake of thinking he was ready for more freedom than he was, and he chewed every spindle to pieces, the steps and stuff. It's just part of the experience, Labradors in particular. But yeah, so if you see those clips of those moments, because Puppy's got a bit more freedom than Eileen, and Eileen's still very much in that very early stage of controlling her environment.
So Eileen is only allowed in the living room if we are with her. She doesn't go in the dining room. She does living room and kitchen. She doesn't really go anywhere else. Puppy is allowed to be left occasionally in the living room when no one else is there, as long as there's nothing left on the floor. So like if the boys' toys are out, then I won't leave them. But if everything's away, then she's all right to be left in there. But again, Eileen will never be allowed upstairs, more so because of the breed and stuff. But
joints and stairs, if you didn't know.
Yeah, sorry, I should have explained that. But yeah, in general, Sully kind of does what he wants. Not does what he wants, but mostly he just wants to be with you.
Right, yeah, he's my perfect. And it's just so beautiful watching Sully work. I always talk about, like, my job is to try every day to be as good as he is. And it boggles my mind watching him and how he interacts, how he corrects the dogs, how he brings them up, how he encourages them to overcome obstacles and pushes them out of the comfort zone when they're on walks. It's just, I love it. My favourite thing is watching pack dynamics and older role model dogs raise puppies, because all I do is just try and replicate that. Is try and be like a mother dog when they're very young, and then try and be like an older leader within a pack as they get older, and just lead by example with calm, consistent leadership. And Sully is the epitome of that, and he just does it to perfection. It's amazing. It's a joy to watch. It's why having multiple dogs is amazing.
Okay, another question.
I can do one more.
Another question?
We can do another.
The last question, which I think I'll probably answer more, is how is the biting/chewing going?
Okie dokie.
Okay, the chewing is real right now. The chewing is real. She is fine all day, and then it's just like the evening time. It's like the witching hour with a baby. That's what I remember being warned about that. It's like that with a puppy as well. Around like between 6 and 8, she just wants to chew everything, which is hard at the minute because the boys are around all the time, so there's stuff everywhere, there's toys everywhere, trying to like teach them that if they leave stuff lying around, she will chew it. It's not quite sinking in yet. Nipping wise, like biting, she's not been bad at all.
Well, I think that's a testament to I'll take a bit of a pat on the back on this one, but us in general. I think before you move on to nipping, I think you are doing an amazing job with the chewing stuff though.
Yeah, so
the redirect, reinforce, you're doing excellent, and it's amazing to watch.
She does get it. She totally gets it.
When they copy you, it's lovely to see. And she does, and which is when we talk about nipping, don't let me waffle when we get there, because I'll talk about it for 20 minutes. But the same reason that we nipping in the bud so early is the same reason that process works so well, that it's a quick verbal correction, it snaps her out of it, you then replace it with the right one, she remembers, and then its job's a good one.
Yeah, so once you give her toy, she's completely happy to have that instead. It's just the access to it, and if there's something else in the way before she would reach her toy, then she'll go for that other thing first. So she's just got a thing about our stairs carpet.
So much worse, but it's one of them things, I think.
Oh, yeah, like
to
it's
you,
not.
It feels like it might be quite bad, but you're doing a really good job of it.
Yeah, it's not that it feels bad. It's just that sometimes, it's just a lot, isn't it? And
she's just learning.
Yeah.
Can I chew this? No. Okay, sorry. This thing? Yes. Okay, cool. And you just have to do that for literally everything that she could ever.
And at the end of the day, how does she know the difference between a Hot Wheels car and a?
She doesn't, but it's our job to teach her that.
Yeah.
And because of the fundamentals and the foundation that you laid early on, is allowing you to teach her that so effectively, which is where you've done a good job.
Yeah, I think it's just that thing, and it's like when you talk about puppy blues and stuff in your puppy course, it's just that thing of like you get to the evening and you're ready to switch off, but they're not ready to switch off, and you can't switch off because if I start letting her getting away with chewing that stuff, then she's going to carry on chewing that stuff. That's
robotic, militant consistency.
Okay. Do you want to talk about nipping, or have you kind of covered?
No, so I think the thing with nipping, and it's probably, I actually think, our number one most asked question, and I need to do more videos on it, because I think I've answered it, but clearly I haven't. So as an educator, it's my job to do a better job of educating, which is why I'm saying don't let me talk for 20 minutes, because I'll put that in another video, probably on one of my Fenrir training channels. When it comes to nipping, it should not be acceptable, and it's the same principle as like the chew toys. You just need to teach them that it's not acceptable, so you have to correct them when they do it. And that doesn't mean being a bully, using harsh physical corrections, but you have to let them know that that's not an acceptable behaviour, correct, redirect to what you should be chewing on, a chew toy, and then positively reinforce that, correct, redirect, reinforce. Now, if your correction, which is what we've been using, is a verbal correction, if that's not working, then that means that there is a flaw in the communication that you have with your dog. Now, communication is built off relationship, and relationship is built off leadership. So, if you've got biting as a problem and the verbal correction isn't snapping them out of it, it means that they don't respect your verbal correction, which means that you have a broken line of communication. Then you have to take a step back. Your communication isn't good because your relationship's not good enough to have formed that communication. So if your relationship's not good enough, then you need to take a step back to the bottom layer, which is leadership. And you need to be able to get your dog to trust in you as a calm, consistent leader, which then means that you'll build that relationship of leader and follower, which then means that your communication is wide open, which then means the dog will really clearly be able to understand when you're telling them not to do something and when you're telling them to do something. And the reason it's worked so well for us is because that is my bread and butter. Calm, consistent leadership, I preach about it all the time for a reason, is non-negotiable in this household with the dogs that are in this household. So they respect us as calm, consistent leaders, which means we have wonderful, loving relationship. It's not a dominant relationship, it's a relationship based off love, guidance and direction, which then means we can effortlessly communicate with our dogs, which is why when people see me communicate with my dogs, it almost seems telepathic. It's not. It's just because we've got such a good relationship that the communication's easy. So when I need to do that and everything shuts off, that is because of leadership, not because I've got a magic click.
Stop. Right. So what I would take from that as well is that we have been doing this from day one. Just nipping is not acceptable, but it's not only Will that does it. So often people get stuck in that trap of having one lead trainer, which is something that we preach about.
But that's for obedience. It's for training, not for leadership.
So everyone in our household follows the same consistent rules. Not once have any of us let Eileen nibble us, chew us.
Instantly stopped.
It's just not a thing. We just don't allow it. And the boys, like you say, are fantastic at it. And actually, I find that kids are really naturally good at it.
Because they don't overthink it, they just deal with it. And that's how we should be. And that's how, when I talked earlier about watching Sully, be effortless with it, that's what we're trying to replicate. He isn't thinking it through and thinking, okay, what did Will say? And they just do it. They just do. They just lead.
Yeah, and I think people's problems come from the fact that you've allowed it for so long, and then your dog gets to a certain size or a certain age, and you're like, oh, you can't do this anymore. And then your dog's like, well, why? You were like,
3 months. You're always so cute that he's hanging off my finger. So, stop it. Deal with it from day one.
So, another thing that I do think helps, and then we will stop talking, we don't leave all the toys out all the time. So I think it's also about teaching them that the toy is used for this time, if that makes sense. So if your toys are out all the time, they don't know that if they want a chew, they should go to a toy. You need to be handing them the toy at those times so that they associate with, oh cool, that's when I do this. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's one of them things that it's hard for me to show because I can't set that up to let her nip me to then show it you, and I just haven't got a camera running 24/7, and I would never correct her just to show you if she hasn't done something wrong. I would never do that to a dog. But just that, again, we talk about it a lot in the course, doesn't have to be physical, but short, like I need a stern or enough just to make them go, whoa, toy, a few seconds on the toy, good boy, good girl, done. Correct, redirect, reinforce. If that verbal shock, you can do it. Some people jingle keys. I use a lot of clicks. Like say, I'll use a noise or noise. It's just snapping their attention. If that doesn't work, like I say, then you need to start taking steps back and addressing it. Because that's a very natural thing for a dog to respond. If it's all we're doing is imitating. If Sully was eating his dinner and Eileen wanted to go near him, you just get that noise and back off. Now, a dog that didn't respect Sully as a leader would still then push his nose in and then deal with it, but they've just communicated verbally, no physical. We're just imitating that. But the reason it works is because of Sully's ongoing, consistent leadership, and that's what we're trying to replicate.
There you go.
Another waffling
video. Although someone did comment that they want them to be longer, so...
There you go. Whoever commented that, that's for you.
Blame them.
Cool.
We will be back. We're aiming for 3 videos a week. If there's anything you want to see, let us know. Follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe.
All that jazz.
Jazz.
Jazz hands.